Who's that guy in that old shirt? Who must be the fence expert? Who's that guy in that old shirt? Who must be the fence expert? Time to talk about the fences. It's time to discuss operations and expenses. It's time, it's really time to elevate small businesses. It's time for Joe to drop his knowledge, it's relentless. This rhyme of mine is getting a bit ridiculous. Here we go, we're live with Joe. Enjoy the show.
The fencing gate industry is packed with chances to learn, connect, and level up. From regional shows to hands-on training and chapter events. But once a year, everything comes together in one place. In this episode, we sit down with Ken Throckmorton to explain why FENCETECH remains the industry's ultimate gathering point, where education, innovation, and opportunity all meet on a national stage. With all that being said, let's get into it. Guys, if you're in the fence industry for more than like a day or two, I think you already know Ken. But Ken, just for the few people out there that may not have met you personally, a brief introduction.
Hi, my name's Ken Throckmorton. I'll actually be the president in 2026 of the association. I've worked my way up through the chapter and the board, and so I was lucky enough to be elected president. So that'll happen in 2026. I have a small fence company in Wadsworth, Ohio, installs and wholesales. So
nice. So you know a thing or two about fence?
One or two things, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Now, like you said, you're the incoming president of the American Fence Association for 2026. So we'll be seeing a lot more of you next year.
Probably.
Very good. Very good. Very good. I love it. Now, Ken, we're here to talk about FENCETECH. Basically, the way I see this is the who, what, when, where, why of FENCETECH. And we'll just, hopefully we answered all the questions. But guys at home, if you're watching along, if we haven't answered one of your questions, drop them in the comments below. I always love interacting with you guys there. So the first in this is going to be the who. I mean, obviously, FENCETECH, I say obviously, obvious to me, FENCETECH is put on by the American Fence Association.
Yep. It's we've been putting it on for years and years. I don't even know that when we first started, but it's been happening for a long time.
I remember when my dad bought this company from my granddad, that was one of the first things he did was get to FENCETECH, is just start getting plugged in. So it's been a year or two. Yeah. But also on the other flip side of the who, I mean, we could talk about who should attend, like who is the show geared towards? I mean, in my mind, it's really anyone from ownership, senior leadership, all the way down to boots on the ground, front office staff, support staff, and really everyone in between.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here in Ohio, so the first week of February, I mean, we work year round, but
yeah,
it's nice to be somewhere. It's not warm this year, but, you know, we'll talk a little bit later how we don't have to step outside once. So,
absolutely. Well, and it's a great chance to get out of your just normal winter routine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it depends where in the country you are, but yeah, I think for a lot of companies, winter's a little bit slower than summer. And so this is kind of that nice chance to get out, kind of reset and get set for the spring.
And the thing is now, I mean, it's last week in November. So I don't know too many companies. There may be a couple that are scheduling in February right now.
Sure.
So let's just schedule that week off for installs and say, oh, we're booked that week. You don't have to tell them why.
Yep.
And then you're not hurting any schedule.
No, and that's the thing is, yeah, February is probably most everyone's least busy month, so it probably won't be that hard to take some time off for you and the whole team.
Right, and that's a nice thing. You have your team there. You know, depending on what vendor you may have, you might be invited to a party. I mean, some of the parties there are just outrageous that they host. You know, they have their best party at this show. You know, knock on wood, there for the last couple of years, I don't think I've bought one meal, including breakfast,
yeah,
because this vendor or that vendor wants to take you out and talk to you and, hey, how are you doing? Is everything good? What are you looking at for buying next year?
Mm-hmm. You know. Well, and we'll talk about that a little more in the why segment, but that's a really good kind of preview into the whys. Is it's a great time to interface really with whoever you've been waiting to meet face to face throughout the year.
I heard someone is hosting a dinner Monday night.
This is true. There is a dinner getting put together. Myself, Dan Wheeler, and Craig Eubanks are putting together a little meet and greet on Monday for those of you guys attending or showing up early for the early education. And we'll get more into that here in just a little bit too. But yeah, so there's a lot to do. I mean, whether it's going to be one of, these side events, whether it's going to be an industry, a FENCETECH event, whether it's going to be a supplier, manufacturer, wholesaler event, you can just plan on having something to do every night and throughout each day.
Yeah. I mean, you look at your schedule and it gets filled up quick.
Absolutely. And really, you should start planning now. You should really start planning now, reaching out to vendors to say, hey, here's, we're going to be there. Are you thinking about wanting to meet up at some point? And because it seems like what happens here, so there's a few that reach out early. Hey, let's get this locked in. But it seems like a week or two, 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the event is when really everyone starts reaching out. Like, hey, I'd love to grab 15 minutes, love to grab half an hour. And by that point, like, the schedule's already getting a little bit full. So maybe some proactive outreach would do well right now.
There may be a couple days I've had 2 breakfasts in a day, and they're like, "You only want coffee?" I'm like, "Trust me, I'm only a coffee person in the morning."
yeah, I'm good. I promise.
And then, I know I've heard of some franchises that are going to have their whole meeting at FENCETECH the day before. I've heard of some manufacturers that are having their dealers convention, one of the days there. So I mean, it's
and there's like a lot of associations that are involved with the AFA. So. That also have meetings there, like their annual meeting. You just you hear a lot about that. Usually it's earlier in the week, but it's really the one place the one time a year that you get all of the fence family in one spot, whether it's installation, supply, wholesale, manufacturing, top to bottom. Everyone's in the same place at the same time. So really, it's a great time to try to get all that stuff organized.
Well, when we say fence family, when we say fence family, we mean perimeter security. We mean gate automation.
Yes.
Sometimes some of those people are like, you didn't mention me. Well, you're part of the fence family.
Yeah, it's you've got the family, you've got cousins, you've got everyone's family. You see each other this is kind of a time of year to talk about this. You see everyone at Thanksgiving and Christmas. This is kind of the same thing. You might not see each other consistently throughout the year, but you can plan on seeing everyone in the holiday season.
Right. We're not going to say who the uncle is, though.
No, I mean, yeah, everybody's got the uncle. We'll leave the uncles to themselves. How about that? But so you talked about perimeter security, you talked about gates and access control. So really, FENCETECH again does encompass all of that, right? It's not just fence; it's also and associated trades that you see here. A lot of software that kind of blends those 2 out of 3 or blends a lot of those. And I think that's what we're talking about, that this is the largest trade show in, I'm going to say the country. I think you could probably stretch it to say at least North America, that you're going to get everyone at one place at one time, from the top to the bottom and sideways, depending on where you want to put everybody. But everyone from manufacturers all the way down to field installation companies.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a bigger one out there, I'd like to see it, even if it's across the pond. But I think I'm not going to bet the farm, but I'd be willing to bet the cow that it's probably the biggest in the world.
It would have top 3 for sure. I mean, Australia, fencing's really big in Australia. Europe, you could probably get into it too. So, but top 3 for sure, I would think.
Maybe even intergalactic.
Well, listen, no one, maybe Mars, maybe the far side of the moon. Nobody knows what's over there.
Right.
So, you never know.
Are they driving or setting? Or we're not going to get into that.
What's that?
Are they driving or setting on the other side of the moon?
Well, they probably do it some way completely different that all of us would want to argue with them about. For sure. They use gravity. They actually don't even set the post at all. They just stay there.
Yep.
Now there's less gravity on the moon, so I don't know how that works, but that's why we would argue with them about it.
Yep.
All right, so we talked about the who, the what. Let's talk about the when. First week in February, and depending on which education classes you're looking at, it could start as early as Monday.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple AFA courses going on. We have a couple speakers coming in. Monday's going to be busy, and then Tuesday education just opens up, and Nick has done a great job again, where he has over 70 classes between Tuesday and Wednesday, and it's the business track and it's the sales track, and there's all these different tracks, and if you've ever looked at that board in the hallway of here's the classroom and here's the time, it's like. And, I had someone email me. It's like, hey, I tried to register for this class, but no one got back to me. If you buy the full education package, you don't have to register. Some of the first ones on Monday, you have to register before. But once you get into Tuesday, I'm going to go to that one, and go.
It's wide open.
Yeah.
Now, let's pause on one thing, because you said different tracks, and that's something I think you guys being the American Fence Association have done really well lately, is really organizing this in different tracks, whether depending on where you find yourself fitting into the industry or where you see yourself growing in the industry. You can pick a track and follow it from start to finish, but you don't necessarily have to, right? No. You can. There's a fair amount of picking and choosing that can be done as well.
And that's why you want to take maybe 1 or 2 or 3 team or all your team members. Okay, hey, this is a sales track. You go for that. Hey, the office people, this is a business track. You go through this. There's a couple odds and ends for installers, and how to install a loop and what's the benefit of it and all that. Yep. I mean, there's different things out there. I mean, that's why we always strongly recommend go to the website, look everything up, because when you get there, you look at that big wall of dates and times and classroom numbers, you're going cross-eyed. Yeah,
so start planning now. No matter what you're talking about for FENCETECH, start your planning now. So when you show up, you already have your plan. Now, the best laid plans and all, but at least if you've got the overview of where you're going, you can be a little bit more flexible when boots on the ground sort of thing.
Sure.
Now, it's going to be in Indianapolis this year. That's the where.
Yeah.
Now, Ken, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And that is Indianapolis is not known for its winters.
No.
But the nice thing that FENCETECH has going for it is there's a handful of hotels that connect directly with the convention center. So the way it's explained to me is I can leave my hotel room, through a series of elevators and escalators, I'm sure, find myself on either the keynote speaker room or the show floor without putting on a jacket if I don't want to. It's all through conditioned spaces, heated spaces, and all that.
Yep. And then that's, the nice thing about that is you go down the convention center. It all goes to the convention center. And, if you look at it, there's also a mall connected. You can sort of get to the Lucas Oil Field, even though I don't think anything's happening then. But it's all interconnected inside. If you want to go, if I'm staying at one hotel and you're staying at the other hotel and we want to have a breakfast our third of the day,
Sure.
I can either come to you or you can come to me without going outside.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard rumors before, and I don't know that I have direct experience with this, but sometimes after hours, there's been groups of guys that meet up at like the lobby or the lounge or somewhere.
The watering
like
hole. The
watering hole is the word we're looking for. But no matter where you're staying, if it's at one of those, you can get from there to your room again without going outside, without getting an Uber. Restaurants are in these hotels. I mean, really, once you're there, you can really get to a lot of places you're wanting to get to.
Now, there's other restaurants out on the street, but
sure,
it's there. The only thing, and we'll get into this a little bit later, the only thing you'll have to go off property for is our opening party on Tuesday night.
Again, I think this is a good part to talk about the opening party. Guys, if you've been to a FENCETECH, if you've been to the opening party, you know exactly what we're talking about. This year's pickets and pit stops?
Yep.
Nice. Now, this year's going to be offsite for a few different reasons.
Yep. So if anyone's been to Indy, there's a back nine, and it looks like another type of facility where you are three layers high and drive golf balls.
Yeah.
Almost a mirror image. But
Got
this
it.
one's called Back Nine, and we rented the whole place out. All 70-plus bays are American Fence Association. Now, some companies are actually renting this bay and that bay so they can have their own bay.
Sure.
But, it's basically all ours. A lot of fun going to happen. You've seen some videos about the helmets. I think you may be able to get the last-minute order of a helmet right now.
Okay.
But those will be displayed there.
Nice.
And that, I don't see the guitar or snowboard behind you, but
no, snowboard's right here.
there
right
it
here.
is. Okay, yep.
Snowboard's right there. We just don't have enough room for the guitar. Also, it's literally right over there.
But you'll be able to put the helmet like above your head right there.
Yeah, we'll have to put a shelf maybe like right here or somewhere. Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll have the helmets there, and you can design them any way you want. That's going to be great. This year, for the first time, in front of their peers, and you still have time, but the Pro Awards.
That's right.
Do you have a project that you did that you think is the best around, at least in your area? Well, maybe it's the best around in the whole United States. So there's a link you can apply to, and it's free. You have to have 5 or 6 pictures of it and give a little description of it, and then it goes and gets judged. I think there's a residential and a commercial for all 5 disciplines.
Nice.
And there's a multi-use one if it's 2 or 3 disciplines. There's operator ones. I mean, so take a look at it. You may have a job that you did that you're like, man, I got to submit for this. But then we're going to give the awards right there in front of their peers. So
I love that. I love that so much because in the past it's been held at the awards bruncheon. Yes. So, and with that, listen, this is going to start feeling like a real show because that's in the industry what they call a segue right into the awards portion of this. So with the Pro Awards being at the opening party, now that makes some changes to the awards side. Can you walk us through that?
So we're not going to do the brunch anymore. We're going to do more of like a donuts and coffee. Rumor has it there may even be a donut wall at this one. And it may be happening another day also. It'll be fresh donuts the next day, but it'll be the same wall.
Sure.
But that ceremony is great to recognize, the Hall of Fame winners and the ambassadors and all those, big awards. But, we used to give out thanks for being a board member. Thanks for being a chapter president. Thanks for here's your pro award. And it was an hour and a half, almost 2 hours long sometimes. And people want to get to the floor.
Yep.
So we tried to shorten it up. Just get a quick bite to eat because you probably had breakfast already with one of your suppliers.
Yeah.
And, let's recognize those that deserve those, and then let's get to the floor.
Absolutely. Well, and so we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves just from the flow of the conversation. That's happening Thursday morning.
Correct.
Let's back up to Wednesday morning because Mike Saver's going to come get everyone fired up for the opening keynote and really just get everyone fired up and sent straight into FENCETECH.
I don't want to jump ahead, but why'd you say opening keynote?
Well, see, that comes later in the conversation. So I'm going to reference that. In the industry, they call that a callback. That's coming up later.
See, I'm learning all these big fancy words. That's not
Sure. But yeah, so the opening keynote is going to get us fired up. If you guys attended last year's and you attended Van Morse's opening keynote, you know exactly what we're talking about. Everyone just gets a little bit more fired up, walks a little bit taller, the back's a little bit straighter, gets everyone fired up and sent into FENCETECH. That's going to happen Wednesday morning, right before the opening ceremony for the show. And
Mike is a Hall of Fame keynote speaker. So, they just don't give those out to any speaker. I haven't received that. So,
no, guys, if you want to preview, Google this, man, and you'll see exactly why everyone's so fired up that he's going to be the opening keynote speaker. Straight in the opening ceremony, straight into the FENCETECH floor. Let's talk a little bit about the FENCETECH floor. What's that?
Myself and Bobby Batchelor, who's a FENCETECH chair this year, we get the big scissors to cut the ribbon and open the show floor.
Now, we make sure that's a safe situation, though, right? Knowing you guys, there's somebody overviewing the safety that goes into this?
Michael Reed will be there and somewhere in the middle.
Perfect. All the PPE will be in place and everything.
They might just let Bobby cut it. I'm left-handed. They got to get those green scissors.
They got the left-handed scissors. That's right. Then you guys are going to send everyone straight into the FENCETECH show floor.
Yep.
Now, the show floor, massive.
Huge.
Looking at the layout, it's huge. Now, I heard a rumor, and you don't have to confirm it or not. You can just wink once or something. It sounds like the show floor got sold out, right? And so now it seems like maybe a little bit of a magic act on finding some more show floor space to grow into even.
Yeah, so we were there in July this year, looked at and it's weird to see an empty convention center.
Yeah.
And you're like, we fill this up? There's no way we're going to fill this up. And they're like, well, if you do, we have this space that's open for you. I'm like, we got to fill this first before we think about this. Well, right. We're thinking about that because we're sold out.
That's perfect. Yeah. One part of the show floor that caught my eye is there's a tool, trucks, and trailers segment that, and it's actually, I love how this works out. It's going to be right behind the space that we're broadcasting from. So maybe in some breaks, I can go check out the newest trucks, tools, and trailers.
Buy a truck and a trailer and take it home with you.
Perfect. Just drive it home right then. Yeah. I bet they'd make you a deal.
Yeah.
Maybe. You never know. But no, it's kind of nice having a dedicated area for that because I think that's something that, that guys look for when they're there. And it's always been something that, I'm sure it's hard to get a truck manufacturer to find show floor space. I'm glad to see it this year.
Yeah, we have a company out of North Carolina that has 2 spots there, and I know of at least 13 fencers that have bought from this company before. So they have their own upfitter. They do everything.
Nice.
And then we're looking at some trailer people. We still have some spaces open.
Okay.
One of the not complaints. I don't think it was complaint, but criticism was we don't have tools. We can't touch things, and so. Sure. We've really reached out to these tool companies to come and show their tools. And, we don't want it to be for $19.95, you buy today, but there will be some of those people there.
Sure.
And
but more so just getting hands-on equipment.
Yeah. And some of the things I've seen, it's my wife might actually have to hold my wallet this week.
It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. At least run it past her. Run it past her for sure. So let's talk about the show floor itself. If you guys have been to FENCETECH, kind of the spread. But if you haven't been to FENCETECH before, Ken, there's everything from, again, manufacturers, wholesalers. There's A lot of software has kind of been not really even the new thing anymore. Software's been there for quite a while, but it seems like every year it grows and kind of what's offered and how it's offered, that sort of thing. Tools have always been a part of it, but now it sounds like they're being more of a dedicated part of it. Really, if it has to do with fencing, gates, access control, surveillance, I mean, it sounds like there's someone from each one of those areas that are there.
Yeah. I mean, last year, I think one of the vendors had a 25-foot barrier arm gate. And I'm like, holy smokes, I didn't think they made them that long. So
huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's and that's the thing. You don't know what a manufacturer's going to have because sometimes they wait till this show to launch it.
Well, sure, which makes sense because, again, like we were saying earlier, this is the one time a year that everyone's going to be in the same room because there's a lot of education that goes on throughout the year, right? There's a lot of there's several regional shows that go on throughout the year or alternating years, depending on which one. But this is the one. This is the main show, right? This is the primary place that whether it's guys in the Northeast, guys in the Southwest, that they're going to come together in one place. So, yeah, it makes sense if you're a manufacturer or wholesaler that you've got something that you want to launch. This is the place because you can get in front of all these people. If
you're at a regional show, if you're at a chapter event, or you just 4 or 5 fencers out in the field somewhere doing something, 9 times out of 10, they're like, hey, see you at FENCETECH.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to see you at FENCETECH.
Well, that's usually the question, right? So networking is a large part of these, whether it's the national, whether it's a regional, whether it's a chapter event. That's the topic of conversation, at least in my experience, is you guys are going to FENCETECH, right? Like, yeah, here's what I heard about it. Here's where I'm staying. And this was going on in early summer. Everyone is kind of starting to plan like this FENCETECH. People are starting to talk about next FENCETECH. Yeah. It's the one thing. Yeah, see you at FENCETECH makes sense because that's what everyone talks about throughout the year because that is the place where everyone meets to talk about fence stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we have the next couple of years scheduled already and people are like excited about, where it's going to be and, but yeah, Indy is going to be off the hook.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. I mean, everyone knows Indianapolis for one reason or another, whether you're a sports fan, whether you're an automobile fan, no matter what it is, racing fan, you're going to find your way to Indianapolis at one point or another. So it makes sense that FENCETECH is there and everyone's excited for it.
Yeah.
Also, it's the one place a year where all the special interest groups get together, right? So it seems like that's something that's really taken hold in the industry as a whole, and AFA has done a great job at highlighting that and at making room for that within the association. When we're talking about special interest groups, so Ken, what exactly are we talking about?
So we have our women in fencing. We have our veterans in fencing. We have what used to be called young fence professionals, but I'll call him out, and he says I can anyhow. But Sherman is a chapter president this year. He'll be done after this year, but he's like, I'm in my 50s and I'm not young, but I'm new to the industry. So we changed it to Robert Whitaker came up with emerging fence professionals.
Perfect.
So that you can be any age for that.
Yeah.
And then we have our ag fence in there also.
Oh yeah. So this is really the one time a year where all of those special interest groups can come together in the same room. You were talking about the donut wall. I think that's the second time in the week we're going to see the donut wall.
So Thursday for our awards brunch, it's going to be there. And then, like I said, we'll have new donuts. And they'll clean the wall. But Friday morning, all the SIGs are going to meet in the ballroom again, the same place we had the awards brunch. Yeah. And it's going to be the SIGs, and they're actually going to get on the stage for a couple minutes, talk about their SIGs, and then go into each corner. And, there may be a veteran and an emerging fence professional, or there may be a veteran and a women in fence. I mean, we had one at AFAU. So we're going to allow them to interact with different groups if they want to, stop. But it's really to listen to what each group is providing, support. Really, it's that networking. Absolutely. If you don't get on the Zoom call or you don't look at the emails, but you see Fred or Billy Bob or Susie, hey, can I get your number? Because I might need to run something by you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing I liked. I stopped in and stayed for a while at this year's the Special Interest Groups meetup. And that's the thing is it was a whole room full of networking, right? Like you had different pockets of special interest groups, but there's also kind of that middle where everyone was kind of just interacting and networking kind of independently of them and kind of going from group to group.
Yep. And that's the great thing. I mean, we want to all be able to support everyone and, offer these different things. So,
of course. Well, and I think, we talk about networking a lot when we're talking about the value of going to any one of the events, whether it is a club or a regional, chapter level event, whether it's a regional show, whether it's the national show, the education events, it's getting in the same room with peers and being better for the cumulative value of the room, right? Just getting to know everyone and me. I can't tell you how many guys and gals I've met through networking opportunities like that I likely would have never met if I stayed home all year and I focused on my business and didn't look outside my local market. The majority of folks, I would guess, that I know now, I would have never met them. And I wouldn't be at the same place professionally that I am now because I wouldn't have those industry contacts. If that makes sense. Yeah,
and it does. Look, I was one of these people a long time ago too, but FENCETECH's a lot of money, the hotel, the travel, Indy, I don't know the exact percentage, but a lot of people are going to be able to drive to Indy.
Yeah.
But how can you not afford to go there?
Absolutely. Well, so there are folks, I'll say this, if my dad watches this, and he does, Dad, I'm calling you out, because when he bought the business for my granddad, that's the first place he went. And then he went on like an every second year schedule or every third year schedule because he's like, things don't change that much. I'll see what's new every few years. Well, that's true to some small extent if you just cruise straight through the show floor. If you don't do the education, if you don't do the pre-FENCETECH or the pre-show floor events, if you don't stick around afterwards to meet and greet and get to know other people. But if you really plug in, if you really try to maximize the value, I mean, you're there. You might as well maximize the return that you're getting on this investment. You realize pretty quickly it is an every year thing. And I love going to all the chapter, the regional, all of them throughout the year because I get so much value from just being in the room and meeting other peers that I didn't meet last year because our paths didn't align, or maybe, whatever it is. There's tremendous value, and you really have to plan on going every year to get that value, even if we're only talking about the networking. Now, there's also a whole argument that education constantly improves, that it constantly updates and upgrades. Same thing with the show floor. I don't think every year, you can find 2 years where the show floor even looks similar. No. There's different arguments, but if you only looked at from the networking perspective, from that alone, you got to be in the room.
Yeah, that first main aisle may look the same because this guy's there and that gal is there because, they're great sponsors and they get the prime location. But you go all the way to the end and go all the way to the end and go to the back, you'll be amazed what you see. And like, man, I could actually use that. I remember my first time going to FENCETECH, I think it was 15 in Orlando. And I'm like, I thought there was only this guy out there and this guy out there. I didn't realize there was this many people out there.
Well, in the example, you used a 25-foot barrier arm.
Yeah.
I would not have known that existed, right? No. And seeing that stuck in my mind to where now if I'm looking at a job that has this massive opening, they're like, boy, we'd love to put a barrier arm, but I don't know if we can get 2 right here. Hey, you know what? I saw this massive one, and if they can do that, this 20-foot, no problem. They can do this in their sleep. It's things like that just lodge themselves in your brain. I didn't stop and talk to them, but it lodged in my brain that this is an option, right? And whether we're talking about any one of the things that were out there, it's adding that to your toolbox, really.
You say that, and I keep the show floor map, and they give you that book in the bag.
Yeah.
This year it's going to be a little different. You don't have to get a bag. You're going to go up to a wall. You're going to get whatever material you want, put it in your own bag, and move on.
Okay, nice.
So you can do that, but I always get that book with the map in it because there's times it could be in July. Man, this company I know they were in this area. I go to the map. Oh, that's who it was.
Yep. Well, and you can actually, so I try to get a hold of that as early as possible, right? To try to plan out, guys, because listen, we've got a half day Wednesday, full day Thursday, half day Friday, and that's it. And that might sound like a lot until you get in that room and you look around and you realize this is not nearly enough time. So you really kind of have to be strategic on how you walk the show floor, who you stop and talk to, that sort of thing. And the map does a great job of helping that happen.
So the show floor, before we added on to it, was over 300 vendors. So, you do the math, so many hours by so many vendors. If you stop and talk, you're 33 and a half seconds at this one. And
Right. Yeah. Forbid you stop and have like a 5-minute conversation, because that blows the whole timeline out of the water. But so get a hold of as much literature as you can ahead of time to plan for this, is really, because failing to plan is planning to fail, right? And I'm guilty of that, being there Friday as they're like shepherding people out of the room so they can start pulling up the carpet. I'm like, but I still have these 5 or 6 people I didn't talk to yet. Like, I have to reach out to them directly, I guess. You got to have a plan. You absolutely have to. So let's talk about, Friday shows. So we've got keynote, we've got opening ceremony, straight into the show floor. Thursday morning, we've got special interest groups, and then straight into the show floor.
Friday morning, special interest groups.
Friday, special interest.
Yep.
Thursday's the awards.
Yep.
Got it. So Friday, special interest, straight into the show floor. Now, Friday's a half day. So right afterwards, now, when I heard about this, it made total sense, because once things shut down, we were tearing down the studio there. We were waiting for our crates, but the crates couldn't come out until the carpet came up, which makes sense. You don't want forklifts driving on carpet. I bet it was a couple hours before we were able to stow our stuff and do all that. So now we've got a closing keynote speaker to try to fill that gap. One, some people do leave on Friday, but the bulk, I would say, of attendees leave Saturday. So you're kind of left with this opening in Friday afternoon, where now it sounds like you guys have found a great way to fill it with a closing keynote speaker.
So if you were there last year, you saw Van as our keynote speaker.
Yep.
Van loves us as an association. He really loves the Veterans of Fence. So he's actually going to be there for the Veterans of Fence thing Friday for the SIG morning. Going to be on the show floor throughout the day, but then, like you said, as you're waiting on the carpet in your crate, instead of just twiddling your thumbs. And one of the biggest things is we heard vendors like, man, we heard all this great thing about Van and we missed it.
Yeah.
And we've changed a couple things where we're going to be piping audio into the show floor. So those people those vendors that have the last minute meetings, go team, go, maybe their Monday morning meeting, but it's every day at FENCETECH.
Yeah.
They'll be able to hear that, but you'll be able to actually go back into the ballroom, just let them tear the carpet up and get your crate there. It's only going to be an hour, and then but you're probably still going to have to wait for your crate anyhow.
Right.
But at least it won't feel like 3 hours. And he's going to do a nice closing ceremony.
Nice, excellent. Yeah, guys, if you saw Van last year or early this year, this whole thing kind of merges in my mind. At the most recent FENCETECH, you already know why you can't miss it, right? Like I said, and he's an incredible speaker. He tells an incredible message. I will find a seat somewhere to hear this guy speak again. If you haven't, you owe it to yourself to be in that room to hear that message. I promise you. You can watch his YouTube content, incredible. You can visit his website, amazing. It's not the same as getting the energy from being in the room and then kind of like getting sent back out into the industry. Like, all right, guys, now it's time to slay the day. Go get them, right? I love this idea so much.
Do you think we'll have the true excuse this time that with them rolling the carpet up, there was dust in the room, and that's why your eyes were a little watery?
Boy, that's probably what's going to happen. I would bet. I bet the dust from the carpet, 100%.
Yeah.
The opening ceremony, I forget what happened. Well, it was Salt Lake City. So we can't talk about allergies, I guess. Not that early in the year. I don't know what happened. It was
salt was in the air.
That's what it was. The salt was messing with everyone's. Yeah, absolutely. Red eyes all around the room. Yeah, guys, it's impactful. It will move you, I promise. And you don't have an excuse not to be there. You just don't. So put it on your calendars to be there.
I know this is all FENCETECH, but I was at AFAU, and it was right before Veterans Day. And Kelly, she sometimes looks at me weird and says, "Oh, Ken," but I'm like, I need the YouTube video of Van at FENCETECH.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? I'm like, I'm going to show it before. And there was dust in that room too. But
No.
he's just a moving, it makes you a true American. Let's just put it that way.
Sure. Absolutely. And listen, I absolutely stole the term from Bobby Batchelor, where you walk out of that room just a little bit taller. Your back's a little bit straighter. You're just a little bit more proud to be an American. And it's incredible. Like I said, the energy in the room is unreal. And then you're sent out off into the industry to just kill it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Make the industry better like
Absolutely.
we already are.
So we're getting to the end here, Ken, the how of all this. So link will be in the description below for the American Fence Association. Great new website. If you guys haven't seen it, you should just go check it out to begin with. But second, it's got all the information about, FENCETECH is what we're talking about today. If you need more information, it's there. If you'd like to register, it's really easy, quick and easy to get registered. Also, we talked about education events throughout the year, AFAU, but also on the road. All the information for those is there. Regional chapter information is there. It's really your one source to get plugged into the fencing industry. Can all be found on the website, which is linked below. Yeah,
we just updated the website. It has some different flows. Chapters are getting their own websites.
Nice.
We've brought some people in for marketing, and it's really showing already. I'm sure you've seen that AFA is just pumping out posts left and right.
Absolutely.
And so it's been a good thing. Check the website out. Those chapter events here. The other thing is a lot of the chapters are going to have meetings at FENCETECH.
Oh yeah.
They're open. So if you've never been to your chapter meeting, take a look for it and maybe introduce to yourself. And, I hear the people, well, I compete against him every day. I don't want to be in the same room. There's a guy I compete with 20 miles down the road. He called me Friday, said, hey, my truck's going to be delayed. Can I buy this material from you Monday? Absolutely.
It happens a lot. I've got a story similar to where we were short on, it was like a 6 5/8 bulldog because we got shorted one. And this might surprise you, but we don't have a lot of those laying around. But we need to get this job done, like always. Like there's always a deadline. So I called around. One of our competitors had one. My first question is why? Like, is there a reason you got these things laying around? But two is like, yeah, hey, listen, can I come buy it from you? And he goes, well, you got a truck coming on. Everyone's trucks always come on Thursday here. Somebody's bringing a truck Thursday, right? Like, yeah. He goes, who is it? And I tell him. He goes, oh, they're stopping here too. Throw one on. Tell them to drop it off with me. You come get this one. We're done. And then we don't have to do paperwork. We don't have to do all the, and we'll call it square. How about it? Unreal. This is a whole conversation in and of itself, Ken, but I believe if you think you're competing with the guys in town, you're wrong. You're competing with yourself, right? Like that said, and the minute you start getting wrapped up into what everyone else is doing and how they're doing it, you can have two companies, exact same size, exact same, industry mix in terms of residential, commercial, whatever, and they would operate very differently because they have different business plans or they'd have different end goals. And you can't do that. You can't say, well, they're doing it this way, so they've got this, so I need that. Or it's just different, right? Like and if you spend all your time fighting against each other, then you're both worse off for it. Or you could go out there and be the best version of yourself you can be, and then you both become winners. Like it could go either way.
And that's the thing. There's people that aren't part of this association, and they do good work most of the time.
Yeah.
But you can tell the people that are part of this association and other associations, they're up on a pedestal. And so sometimes when I'm like at a job or sales appointment, and they're like, oh, this person and this person are quoting me. I might not say anything about person C, but person A, I'm like, hey, he's a good guy,
Yep.
So if you don't go with me, I'd rather you go with him. I don't say anything about C. But,
Right. Yeah, you can't go wrong with me or this one.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
And people respect that.
Well, and so in our chapter, I've got at least one competitor, sometimes two, depending on what the event is from my market that show up at these places, and it's fine. Like, we're not sitting down comparing notes, which would be illegal, right? But then also, I'm not really interested in that anyway. But we can be better because of our involvement, right? In getting in these situations where one needs and the other has, and vice versa. We're both better for it, you know. So yeah, to your point, don't hesitate to stop in, even if you think your competitor's in the room. They probably are, but if they're in the room and you're not, they likely could be getting additional benefit out of it anyway. So you owe it to yourself to be in the room.
Yep.
Guys, for more information, or drop a comment below. Love interacting with you guys in the chat. You could also ask Ken what's on his grill. So Ken's known for his meats. I wanted to make sure that was a part of this conversation. We'll just tuck it in here right in the end. But you could also ask Ken what he's cooking.
I just cooked turkey.
Just cooked a turkey. So if you like more recipes, drop it in the comments below. Get with Ken. Ken, listen, thank you so much. I appreciate you being as soon as I asked, this was scheduled. I appreciate that so much. And being giving of your time in the middle of a workday when we've all got a lot going on. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys, appreciate you guys watching. If you guys do have questions, drop them in the comments below. Check out the American Fence Association's all-new website. I think you'll love it. Also linked in the description below. For now, Joe Evers, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors, and I'll see you next time. Across the industry, there are countless places to learn and connect. But FENCETECH is the one event that brings everything together. It's where every conversation, every innovation, and every professional meets at the same table to push the trade forward. FENCETECH isn't just another stop on the calendar, it's the destination that defines the year. For more information on FENCETECH, educational opportunities, or really anything AFA, check